Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Higher Education Tableau User Group for May 2025. We are thrilled that you could be here with us today. We have got lots of awesome stuff for you, starting with our welcome and announcements. So I'll pause in a minute to give anyone who has an announcement time to come off mute and share that announcement. Alternatively, you can share it in the chat if you're, kind of shy, don't want to speak up. We have Meet a Community member today with Marie Vrablic from UNC Charlotte. That's Vrablic like vroom. Tips and tricks prep queen with Jen Snyder from Salve Regina University. And the royal theme of our music today was a nod to her. And then we're going to have Ojo Basu from he's a Tableau Social Ambassador. He's not actually in higher ed, but that's okay. He's going to teach us all about Tableau performance and how is higher education related to salary growth. And then we will finish up with our typical wrap up and chat. So before I get into our announcements, does anyone have something they'd like to come off mute and share with the group? Any job postings, any events that you think would be interested? No? All right. Well, then moving right along, we are going to announce Analytics Day 2025, which is being held on June 26th from 8:30 a.m. Eastern until 5:30 p.m. Eastern. That's right, a full packed day of Tableau for higher education. So register by June 13th. And if you'd like to submit a proposal, you still have a little bit of time to do that. May 23rd is the cutoff there. And did I mention it's free? If you have any questions, definitely reach out and let me know. So this year's theme is data equals insight. And what's in store for you? First of all, the battle of the boards, which if you've been to an analytics day before, you know is awesome. Tableau versus Power BI, the third year in a row. We are going to do a dashboard on student grades, and you can decide which one will make the cut. And then if you would like to present, we are accepting proposals for 20-minute presentations on any topic featuring higher education, data analysis using Tableau. If you have questions about what is or is not acceptable for presentations and you want to ask me about it, feel free to reach out. You can email, you can chat me, you can meet me in a breakout room after our presentations today are over. I did just want to mention that we no longer have a guest speaker for this year because Sam had a family obligation that came up, and that's all right because that just means more room for your presentations. So next, we want you to vote for our next HETUG co-lead using emojis. So if you'd like to see Nora Ann, the Dancing Bird Brain, as our next HETUG co-lead, you can put a music note in our chat box. If you'd like to see BB, the Napping Poodle, you can put a sleepy head. If you'd like Dolly, the Disco Duck, you can put a ball of some sort. I don't know if there's a disco ball emoji in there or not. Or should it be you? If you would like to volunteer, you can send us an email or chat with us to let us know. And just in case you're wondering what kind of a commitment we're talking about an hour every other Friday for our planning meetings, 2.5 hours, one Wednesday a month for this HETUG meeting. And if you're wondering what co-leads do, well, we co-host the HETUG monthly meetings, of course. We look for speakers to present at HETUG. We build Google Slides for the HETUG meetings. We upkeep the HETUG Bevy page, although let's be honest, that's all Roshni. We answer questions on the HETUG Slack page. We present at HETUG meetings and other TUG meetings upon request. But, we already handle most of this. And what we would really love is someone to do more social outreach for the HETUG. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then let us know. You can email us at higheredtug@gmail.com, or you can meet with us in a breakout room after the meeting today. So those are all of our announcements. And now I will introduce our Meet a Community member this month, Marie Vrablic from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and she is a data systems analyst. So Marie was born and raised in Michigan, go blue. She moved to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2004, where she taught math for 16 years. Come on, you don't look old enough to have taught math for 16 years.
Check is in the mail.
She switched careers in 2020, and after doing several boot camps, lots of odd jobs, she finally broke into tech working for Google as an AI prompt engineer in 2023. What a cool job. And then a data systems analyst for UNC Charlotte in March of 2024. She's been using Tableau for a few years and is fascinated by all its versatility and could not have done her current job well without the support of HETUG. So besides being a lifelong learner, she enjoys kayaking, reading by and in pool, and yoga. So you can find Marie on Tableau Public and LinkedIn. We have shared her links in the window there, in the chat window. And so we're just going to jump right in. Marie, tell us a little about yourself and describe your role in your team.
Yeah, so I am a graduate of UNC Charlotte, and that's a little bit through connections, how I obtained the job for data systems analyst. I work particularly with the career services, the career center of the university, and which I find fascinating because it took me 3 years to transition into this position. So I learned everything I could about trying to find a job. So now I am actually supporting people that teach students to find a job. So full circle. I also work with library services, and I am part of the academic affairs support team. So other than career services and library, if there is a report one of the colleges need me to do, I do that. I am also in charge of the first destination survey that happens. So that's why it's a little bit of a busy time for me.
Definitely.
All that reporting.
Oh, yeah. I wish I'd known somebody like you when I was looking for my first job out of college, that's for sure. So tell us a little bit about what type of data you work with.
Yeah, so I found that I work a lot with categorical data because I'm reporting a lot about the programs that the career services have and the library services. So I'm work mostly with the program types and which ones are being successful and what kind of students, the student population that's attending these and which kind of programs are being successful.
That sounds like exciting work because it's always changing, right?
Yes, yes. They what fascinates me is that they are so they're so good at generating ideas for things, which I will give you an example of when I go to show my dashboard, but they're always coming up with new ideas that just astound me how they think up some of them.
Definitely. So tell us how you use Tableau at work.
So we are in the process of automating reporting for career services. We really want them to get more independent from the IT team. So I create dashboards that are automated so that when the career services has to report numbers, they can go into the dashboards and report numbers. What I'm trying to work on with my team is that data literacy. A lot of the career coaches don't understand the back end of Tableau. So we try to you can't have this data unless there's actually something producing the data and how the data, how the process is from beginning to end, the code we write to put into Tableau and how the different features work. So, and also trust in data. The person that had the position before me created a lot of mistrust that I am now having difficulty trying to get them trust with the data.
That is a hard job. So what is one of the favorite Tableau projects you've worked on?
So actually I'm working on one right now. I don't know if you want me to show it yet, but
If it's your dashboard spotlight, we'll do that at the end. Yeah.
okay. So the job location and development coordinator for the career services had this idea to incorporate alumni data with the student population data with employer data on maps, so that students from different countries or different geographical regions would know which employers are hiring, how many positions there are, and if there's any alumni in that area that they can get in contact with. It's a little bit tricky because we don't want to give out student names or anything. But the ultimate goal, I believe, is to really support our international students and getting them placements in their home countries with companies that maybe they're doing an internship with. So they do an internship with Fastenal while they're in school, and when they're done graduating, they go back to their home country. We have a way to say, look at the Fastenal division in your home country. They have this job, this job, this job open. You did an internship there, and kind of make those connections to help those international students.
That's going to be a very fun dashboard to take a look at. So how long have you been using Tableau, and how did you learn how to use it? I know you kind of talked about that some in your bio, but I'll let you extrapolate.
Yeah. So I feel every day, I feel like I'm brand new. I really have I think 221 is when I did my first boot camp, and that was actually when I was introduced to it. I've done a few projects which are on my Tableau public. I haven't done any updated projects. I did another boot camp to help with a portfolio I was working on and added some more Tableau public. But as everybody knows, Tableau desktop does a lot more than Tableau public can do. So this is really the first job I've had where I'm using Tableau almost every day in my position. So I feel like, it's like the water hose in the face analogy. And I mean, I could not have done it without Slack and the HETUG channel, and I'm just learning so much. And I still feel like, yes, drinking from a fire hose. That's it. Yeah, I just feel so thankful because I learned something and it's like, why didn't I know that? And I know that there's so much more to learn. And every time you think you know it all, then Tableau comes out with something new. So that's kind of where I am on my journey right now.
That's a really fun place to be, though. Do you have a favorite Tableau feature?
Oh my gosh. I really love actions because because of the way my categories and programs are set up, there's kind of programs within a program. And so I've learned how to do actions so that the career coaches can click down into specific programs to get the specific numbers that they need. And I remember the first time I did it, and my manager was like, I don't even know how to do that. So it made me feel really good.
Yeah, and
I just love the interactivity of it.
anytime you can teach somebody else how to do something, that's always a great feeling.
Yes.
Uh, what is something you'd like to learn more about in Tableau?
Um, I I actually asked Roshni the other day about extensions and realized I really had a different perception of what extensions were. So I'd really like to learn more about extensions and learn more about the design aspects of Tableau and how to incorporate things like Figma or um, the actual designing of a dashboard, so to speak.
Well, I know that if you have, tons and tons of free time, we have, 4 years worth of HETUG recordings that you could. And I know
Yes,
some on extensions and Figma in there.
right. In all of my free time. Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what is one thing you wish you could go back in time and tell Tableau newbie you?
Oh my gosh. I wish I could tell her to spend 15 minutes a day doing Tableau just because I feel like there's so many features. I feel like I could have been a lot further ahead, and to not worry and to keep posting on Tableau Public and not worry about what your dashboards look like. Because at the Tableau conference, there was a presenter that said, yeah, look at my dashboards, and you can kind of see the progression from when they began to like this elaborate dashboard that he created. And I thought that was a really cool thing. So I need to go back, I think, and unhide some of my dashboards on Tableau Public and know that other people that may be starting out might build confidence off of that.
That is fantastic advice. I know I like to go and look back at my old work. So do you use Tableau outside of work? And if so, how?
I haven't. I've been so busy the last few years. Like I said, I wish I've been using Tableau Public more. So one of my goals for this year and next is to do a more uh the when I know they have a Wednesday one and a Monday. I forget what they're called.
Makeover Monday and
Make,
Workout Wednesday.
yeah, those. So those are my goals to participate in a couple of those um, this year and next year, just to start learning new things and do things that I'm interested in and beef up my Tableau Public. A lot of the dashboards I do for my job are not online publicly. They're internal on the server. So that would be a really great way to showcase what I have been learning in my job.
Couldn't agree more. So is there anything else you want to share before we jump into your dashboard spotlight?
Not that I can think of. Um, but I'm about to show we call it Beyond the Walls, the dashboard, and I'm actually in the process of completing it. So it's not a finished product. And in talking to people about, oh, what dashboard do I show? I really want to show this one because of the what it represents and the cool idea of it. I said, but it's not finished. And someone said, well, that's the perfect one to show because I am all about feedback. And so if anybody wants to go on Slack or email me or LinkedIn me or whatever and give me feedback, I am totally for it. This is my very first dashboard using maps. So definitely, this is the one, if you were on Slack, let me share this a minute. If you were on Slack, this was the one I'm like, help, but my dashboard looks like moldy cheese.
Oh, yes.
It was that one. So can you see my screen?
Sure can. So tell us about this dashboard, what you like about it, why you chose to share it, and what struck you, how it's inspired you.
Yeah, so this is the Beyond the Walls. I really like it because it's my first dashboard. I'm usually on more than one screen. Let me see if I can. There we go. I don't have data masked, so is another reason why I'm not sharing the link, but this will be going public. So when that happens, I will share the link on Slack if you all want to go and look at it. But I do have, so I have a student map here where it shows all the students at UNC Charlotte. And this is also for the general public of maybe outsiders who are thinking of coming to UNC Charlotte. We just got classified as a Research 1 university. So that is huge for gaining more students. It's going to, I can do that. And as you can see here, students can, I'm a freshman. Where are all the freshmen from? And they can go in and I'll save you all the clicks, but they can go in and see, oh, there's 39 students in India and see where all of the students come from that are in UNC Charlotte. They can also look by major and also by career community. And then I also have a alumni map. And this, again, also you can see alumni majors and their career community. You can filter it by that and just look to see where all of our alumni are. And this is also including the first destination data. And then we have an employers map. And what I like about this map is that you can say, oh, I'm from, actually, I am from near Holland, Michigan. So, oh, there's one job at Kion Mobile Automation in Holland. I should look them up when I go back this summer. Maybe they have an internship for me. So the students can kind of look to see where these jobs are. We have the organizations. Our plan is, I don't know how feasible it is, but our plan is to try to somehow put a link to the job posting, or at least what the job is, so that students would be able to click on the link to get what the job posting is. And then eventually we will have a student, alumni, and employer map altogether. And you'd be able to see how they all coincide, where the job is versus where the student is versus where alumni are. So a lot more data we need to put into it. But again, like I said, this is my first time using maps. So if anybody has suggestions about how to make it look better or what type of data we should include or any filters, I am open to suggestion.
That's a great start for your first map, I think. It's very complicated. Last question. What did you learn from building this? Is there anything that you think others might find interesting or informative?
Oh gosh. I learned data is really, really complicated. So we have unions and joins, and actually I just had Andrew Drinkwater do a presentation for our little Tableau group on campus about relationships and joins. So I actually might go in and see if I can revise this dashboard using relationships other than unioning data and using custom SQL queries, because that might give us a little bit more data that we want. Yeah, this is really complicated, and I'm still figuring out all the different features of maps and what they do too. So, but the geocoding is very, very cool. We had longitude and latitude data in our database, so it was really cool just to populate it and see what comes out.
I agree. I wish I had more opportunities to work with maps. And I do think relationships would be a smart way to approach this. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marie, for sharing your work and for being our META community member. If anyone else is interested in being a META community member in the future, we are always looking for volunteers. And I'll turn it over to Roshni to introduce our next speaker.
So our next speaker is Jen Snyder from Salve Regina University in Rhode Island. Jen was part of the reason for today's DJ HETUG playlist because she is the prep queen. So Jen has been with Salve Regina University for over 14 years, is currently the Assistant Director of IR of Institutional Research, and where she's been for 10 years. And she's done everything from iPads to compliance reporting to survey administration, and of course, data visualization and analytics. She also works with Microsoft tools that we're not going to name here. But once she found Tableau Desktop in 2019, she has not looked back. That is what we like to hear. And she's been using Prep Builder for a few years, and it has been a great game changer. And Jen is here to share one of her game-changing tips and tricks with us. So Jen, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Let's see if we can make this happen right. All right. How'd we do? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So the tip that I wanted to talk about today is how to fill down in Tableau Prep. There we go. As Roshni said, I am the Assistant Director of Institutional Research at Salve Regina in beautiful Newport, Rhode Island. There's our little building right there, the Misto Gatehouse. So what I want to do is talk about resolving those gaps that you get in your data, whether it's from one source, and I'm hoping to show you also if you want to use two sources. So what am I talking about? When you have a pivot table, any aggregated table that you receive from somebody else that you don't have any control over the format of it, those row headers that get left out, we need it to be filled in, right? So how are we going to do that? This all started with the desire to do some deeper analysis on some of the institutional reports that we get from NESE. And here's an example. And you can see that this is following that format of blanks in the data. And when you read it into prep, you get a bunch of nulls. And again, those are not very helpful. So using prep, I've got the steps here. I'm not going to walk through each of these steps because I'm going to show you. But there are some things that I want to point out. First, prep and data, and I'm sure somebody can share that link, has a great set of instructions on how to fill down. But we're going to connect to the file, and we're going to set the header row if you need to. Remember, sometimes you get messy tables where we don't want to read in all of these headers and extra rows. So let's see if I can. There we go. All right, so I brought in the data, and if it will load here. Not sure why it's not loading. There we go. I've already read it in, and I've already set my row header so that I'm looking at the column headers for where the data actually begins. And this next step is probably one of the most important things to do. And of course, I didn't reset my data file. You get that source row number. Prep puts it in there, and then it takes it out. It assumes that you don't want it, but we do here because we want to make sure that whenever we do the actual fill down, the data is in the order that it was in its original file. And this will help us do that. So I will include it because typically it's not included. And I'm also going to rename it. I have found in the past that if I include it, save my file, come back later, it's excluded again. So I have never had that problem if I rename it. So that's my practice now. Next. Now we have several columns here that we need to fill down. This first one is the question. That's the main question for the data. And you can see that I've got a bunch of questions and then a bunch of letters. Those are the kind of subheadings. Those are going to mess me up in my fill down because I should go back 1 second. If we look at the data, what fill down does is it takes whatever value you have and it fills in all of the null values below it. So you can see in this question field, the A is going to be what gets filled down, and that's not what we want. But I can't delete those rows because then I delete the actual rows. So what I do is replace it with a null. And now I am ready to fill down. So I can't create a calculated field from the main menu. I've got to go into the more options for the fields that I want to fill, create a calculated field, and fill down. I'll be honest, Tableau Prep does most of the work for me. I am going to rename it here and just call it questions. But it's already, takes a minute, it's already chosen my sort order. And because I told it the field, and you can see the results, go down to question 2, and it all filled down. And it is that simple. I'll do another one. Feel free to interrupt me if anybody has any questions along the way. I can't see the chat. Once again, more options, create a calculated field, fill down, rename it. That's my item description. And everything gets filled in beautifully. One more time for my variable. Home row keys. And done. Now my file is all filled in and I can analyze it. And of course, at this point, I can get rid of all of the fields that I don't need. Now, I promised you multiple tables or multiple sources, whether it's two worksheets in the same Excel file, or if it's two separate Excel files. Typically, I try to connect to everything all at once. And here's a situation where we don't want to do that, because when we do, I've chosen to union multiple tables here, and I can get my two tables, but what I don't get is that the source row number, and I need that. So I've got to connect to each table separately, do a couple of those cleanup steps, then I can union it and do my fill down to both tables at once. There's an extra step here when you have more than one table, because remember, we're using that sort order, and if we put it in order here, it's got 1, 1, and then it'll want to fill down. There's no guarantee here that you're going to get it in the right order. So we want to look at table 1 and all of those, look at table 2 and all of those in order. So there's another trick here. In 2025.1, it will allow you to use, and hopefully it's going to break, because then I'll be able to show you what happens in earlier versions. I can group it by the table name and choose my sort order. Here I have to do the work myself because there's two tables. Tableau's really not sure what to do. And if I expand this a little bit, you can see that I get all my seniors. Now, what's the trick? In previous versions, you get a big empty spot here. If you try to use table names, it won't allow it. It's only going to allow you to fill down if you have a numerical field. So if that happens, or if you're using a previous version, what I recommend is just run a quick rank on the table names. I'm going to put them in alpha order because I want my freshmen first. I'm going to use a dense rank just because I'd rather have 1, 2 than 1 in 200 and something. That's going to be my rank field. And now I can fill down. Now with that rank tables, I can either group by or do a nested order by. And that is my personal preference because you get a little bit more flexibility in the order. So if I choose rank tables first, and then I can add another clause here by clicking the icon and choose sort order. Now I get all my ones and my variables in my rows in their sort order. And eventually down here, you'll see twos. So that's my recommended way to do multiple tables. And I'm going to go back over here to make sure I told you everything I wanted to tell you. Oh, I could go back. This is what it looks like in the previous versions where it doesn't allow string data for group by. That's my table name. So just do a quick rank and it solves all the problems of the world. And that's it.
Thank you so much. There were a lot of mind blown and holy crap, can do that type comments in the chat. So definitely go check them out. But
Excellent.
yeah, I was also thinking much of the same, like, wait, what? We can do this in prep. And that source row number renaming thing, that is like truly a gem on your prep queen crown. So
Thank you
so much.
Now, I will say in a lot of, like, if you've got a pivot table or if you have other types of tables in that other, Excel thing, that Microsoft, there are easy ways to fill in Excel. You can use flash fill that works-ish, and you can use there's a pivot table setting that you can change, so that it's going to give you all of those row headers. But Tableau Prep's much more fun.
Yep.
And
It's
reusable.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can actually trace what you did, unlike some of those other tools that we're not going to talk about here.
Yeah, you can trace what you did, but also it's much more reusable.
Yeah, yeah. Just like data in the science that a lot of our university researchers do. But all right. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing these fill down tips and tricks. Really appreciate it. Go check out some of the comments. There's a lot of like holy cows in the chat. So yeah.
I will do that. Thanks.
All right. And now we're going to introduce our next speaker. Ojo Basu, or Josui, is a Tableau Social Ambassador. He started using Tableau in 2012, so that is, what, 13 years ago? He's been part of the data fam that we are all part of. He's been in the data fam for 10 plus years, and he's also a co-lead for the retail tug. He's based out of Canada, if I remember correctly. Toronto, I want to say, not Montreal. Am I mixing it up? I might be mixing it up. But Ojo's a data evangelist. He's a speaker, a mentor, and a dad. He has many hats, and he also loves photography, cooking, and woodworking. And he was very, very kind to not only bring us his Tableau conference talk, but also give us a little bit of a higher education tilt to it. So we really appreciate you coming and sharing your presentation with us, Ojo. And the screen is all yours whenever you want it.
Thank you, Roshni, for such a fantastic introduction. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
All right.
And sent. When that gets started. All right. Is it one screen that you get to see?
Now you're good.
Okay. Oh, I was at the end of the deck. Fantastic. Now you know what I'm going to talk about.
Only if we can work our way in reverse. I don't know how many of us have those skills.
Yeah. So let me start by asking you a question, and you can respond in the comments. How many of you have seen this spinning wheel of doom? Takes forever to load. Yeah, the chat's lighting up. If you have seen this, then you're in the right place, because I want to give you some tips to make it better. Hopefully, at the end of this session, you remember enough to not have this problem happen ever. This session's recorded, and like all tugs, and I'm sure I'm going to share this deck with the leaders here, so there's going to be something to look back at. This session was available, recorded at Tableau conference, so I'm going to rush through some of the topics so that I can focus more on the show and tell. Like, these are words on the deck, and deck's not always as interesting as the show and tell. I've broken it down. I won't go into the details of who I am. I have QR codes. You could scan it. I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm trying to grow my community there. I'm also working towards making data accessible to everyone. So why am I here? I'm here because A, this is a very popular tug. B, I'm enjoying being a mentor and creating content. So if you support my YouTube channel, that'd be amazing. I'll share the links after. First things first, when you create a dashboard, and we looked at prep's amazing. Sometimes we don't even need it. Sometimes we do. But we definitely need to add data to our dashboard. That's the first step. Without data, no dashboard. It's the sand with which we bake the bricks to build the house of our dashboards. On the comments, give a thumbs up if you are writing custom SQL, or maybe a thumbs down. And if you are into relationship, then say yes, relationships. I want to see how many of you, and I'm going to scroll through, I want to see how many are you using custom SQL versus creating a relationship. Relationships are logical. They're comparatively new in Tableau. And my recommendation, because it's much more efficient when it comes to dashboard performance. If you were to use custom SQL, the Hyper Engine cannot leverage the power completely. However, in relationships, and their documentations around this, I'm going to touch upon these key topics and then get to the presentation. And we can look at how all of this is panning out. This wouldn't be the step right off the bat, but since we're in data connection, I'm talking about this. Once the design and build is pretty much there, right click, as you see and then hide the unused fields. This, I will tell you, has improved performance. Whenever I went from A client to B client, or whenever I started a new contract, the first things I would be handed by my subject matter, by the team, would be 4 or 5 or even more high visibility, poor performing dashboards. And it's a bummer because no one wants to look at the spinning wheel of death. So I have to do this all the time. So I'd go in and then check if there are extracts, or are these live. Some of the dashboards don't even need to have a live connection, right? So my recommendation is, if you can, and you must, then create an extract out of it. Extracts are much more efficient when it comes to performance over live connections. Swiftly moving into filters. Raise your hand. Oh, sorry, I'm still in my real world presentation mode. How many of us have used quick filters, right? Quick filters are exactly what they are: quick and dirty. You can add them quickly, and your performance of the dashboard will go down really quickly. If you have more than, let me minimize this. Yeah, if you have more than 9 quick filters in the dashboard, trouble. What would I recommend? Sometimes you cannot wiggle out of it, right? At the time, you have to push back, use negotiation, diplomacy, rather than technology. But if you find yourself using more than 9 quick filters, you are in trouble. There are ways to negotiate out of it, and I have a demo that will cover this, but there are ways of going around it. And wait till the demo starts. Did I miss anything here? Right, extract data source filters. Sometimes, and let's give an example, you have 20 years of data, but you just need the last 3 years. Filter them out at the very beginning. Take them out, use the extract or the data source filter to keep only relevant data, right? Reduce the scope of your work. If you have high cardinality multiple value dropdown, it's a combination of big words. What it means is here on this thing, you see the quick filter with customer name has a slew of different values. That's a high cardinality multiple value dropdown. Typically don't have a quick filter on it. If you have to absolutely use it, use the apply button. Boolean is better than string type, and numeric filters and Boolean filters are much high performant than string. More about filters. Use a continuous date filter or any continuous filter rather than a discrete filter. Date range filters that can be aggregated or pre-aggregated to a month or a quarter level. Say, for example, you don't need daily or hourly data in your data set. You do not need to show it ever. You would be better off pre-aggregating the data into a view and then using that view at the monthly level in Tableau, if you absolutely can pre-aggregate it to a higher level. Visual rendering, this is most intense. Right here, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, it has almost 50,000 marks, 51,000 marks. If you build a dashboard that looks like this, and I was guilty of this in my early on days, believe me or not, I've deleted 4 years worth of noob looking dashboards from my Tableau public. I'm guilty of that. And those dashboards, most of them used to look like this. My dashboards are still boring. I try to build business dashboards, but sometimes I have a spark of creativity and I try. But yeah, coming back to this topic, if you have too many marks in your dashboard, bad. If you have too many worksheets in your dashboard, like some people want to throw the kitchen sink in there, bad. Have no more than 4, 5, 6 worksheets in a dashboard. How I approach this is, if I start with a question, what is that one question that needs to be answered? And then I build a bunch of charts and I see, is that question getting answered based on these charts? If there is something that doesn't need to be on the dashboard, one question kind of a thing. If there are multiple questions, break down into multiple dashboards. Doesn't have to be in one page. If you need a dashboard of dashboards, like a true super dashboard, something like that, you can definitely use a landing page and then have these separate dashboards and then train your users to go to a landing page and then go to those dashboards based on which question they're asking. Visual rendering, remove unnecessary stuff. Remove clutter. If you have unused calculations, worksheets, dashboards, remove them. Use a staggered approach. So remember in the earlier slide, we talked about not using a high cardinality multiple value dropdown. Instead, you could use KPIs that can double down as filters using dashboard actions or filter actions. A fixed dashboard size. For the longest time ever, I still struggle with using containers, but I've trained myself to use a fixed dashboard size and not an automatic. Automatic is the lazy way of doing it. It'll render in multiple devices, but it'll be slow. If you're using custom images, custom shapes, use small size images. If you have the capability of downloading smaller 512 by 512 pixel SVGs or PNGs, they work best. More on calculations, LODs are not as fast as table calculations. Table calculations are much faster than LODs. Numerical and Boolean calculations are faster than string-based calculations, right? Just say yes if you knew that, or wow if you didn't know that. For the longest time, I didn't know that throwing LODs would slow. If you have many LODs in your dashboard, you might as well think about moving them to the database side of things. A fixed LOD can be moved into the database. Case statements are faster than nested if statements. Min max are faster than average and attribute functions. I didn't know that for the longest time. Yes, we talked about moving fixed LODs to the database, and you'll be fine. Include LODs faster than exclude LODs. More LODs, level of detail calculations, the slower it gets. Unless you need timestamp, use date. We talked about that. Blends, raise of hands. Oh, no, sorry about that. Say yay or nay if you have heard about blends, data blending. It's like way back in Tableau when there was no join, when relationship was not a thing. People would have to have blended data sources, and you still have to wait until the next release when they're going to let published data sources get build a relationship using published data sources. For now, if you have published data sources on your cloud or server, you might have to think about a data blend. The other way is to use relationship or join them in prep and prepare one data source for your Tableau, but stay away from blends, right? This is my favorite part, and it calls for a demo. Whenever I get a slow dashboard, the first thing I do, I use the workbook optimizer. And then the second thing I do, and it tells me what I need to clean up, what I need to hide, which ones are absolutely not used. I just hide them, make an extract, and then I use the performance recorder to see which workbook or which SQL, VizQL is taking the longest time to run and render. And I've stuck the options how to get to them. I can't wait till to do a quick demo. So let me minimize this. Yeah. Are you able to see my dashboard?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So behind the scenes, I have two data sources. How am I doing with time?
You got plenty.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. These are, there are three separate data sources that came, I clicked it off the Tableau data source repository. I'll stick the link after, but there are essentially three CSV files that I downloaded. Of these, I found that data discovery is a thing. I don't have it here, but this is the relationship model. It's the noodle. I could have gone in, double clicking it into, and then created a join by dragging it here and creating a physical level. Like this is going into the physical layer and creating a join, and I can define it by the school name here and the school name here. But how much fun is that? I have a cooler thing to do, so I want to remove that and not use the physical level. Physical levels are pre-computed before the viz is done. So your data source is pre-computed versus in a logical noodle, a relationship like this, design time, it does what it needs to do, very similar to a join, but at design time, based on what you're bringing in to your Tableau dashboard or workbook, that's when these defined relationships kick in, and they're much faster and more efficient. So I've used the relationship of school name here, and I want to talk about the data a little bit. Here, I have the school name, like which university this is. And this is the regional data, so it gives me the region in which that university is in. And there are a bunch of salary ranges here, but the one which I'm interested in is the starting median salary, and the other one, which is the mid-career, we'll get to it in a bit, the mid-career salary. So these two data points, starting salary after you graduate and your mid-career salary, these are the two numbers that I was interested in based on the school and the region. And the other data set, very similar, school name, two similar data sets, the starting salary and the mid-career salary, based on the type of school it is, the degree. Is it engineering? Is it liberal arts? What have you? So those two are very similar data sources. So I prepared a relationship on the school name. And then I brought it into this dashboard, which looks fancy now, but these are the two, and I was still working on it. I should be cleaning up it a little bit, but essentially, this is how it looks. Starting salary, mid-career salary. When I hover over, each of these lines are these different schools in my data set. It's looking busy, and I can't read it. So what I want to do is I want to just look at the first 20. I've ranked them. I've written a calculation based on the delta between the growth of your start and the end. I've written a calculation and I'm calculating how much of a growth do I see in percentage. And then I've ranked it by the growth. And I just want to look at the top 20. This Dharma College is an Ivy League school, right? And it's showing significant, like a 131% growth in starting salary and the mid-career pay, which is phenomenal. And the same thing I can do, I want to reduce this, I can type in here, reduce the rank by 20, and analysis, right? I've built this, and I thought, why can't I have these are the two data sources that we just looked at. Let's go back and quickly look at the other data source. Right click, edit data source. This is a CSV file, very similar, only 50 data points in it, where it has the type of degree, the major, the undergraduate major, and then the starting salary and the mid-career salary. So when I brought this in, this was my first cut. Just wanted to look at it like a table. Do the math, see the calculations working fine, and then define the rank, create these calculations. Since we're here, this is the growth, blow it up. I'm doing the median salary, mid-career salary divided by the starting salary as a percentage, right? And then I've ranked it like so. And then I thought about best practices. I said, can I reduce the marks? So I went to a tree view and then finally a sorted bar. And I stuck with the sorted bar and I said, worst case situation for the purposes of demo, and this is about best practices. So I've just kept three quick filters. I've combined the two data sources, right? And I've not used any of the blends. This data source, I couldn't relate with the other two data sources, but this is good information, so I want to keep it. This chart that you see, and when I go to presentation mode, this tabular data I don't need, because if I want to sort by the growth, I can do that. My users can sort by the starting pay, and my users can also sort by the mid-career pay. And they can see that chemical engineers, mid-career wise, they are top of the chart. But growth wise, people who are in math, philosophy, they see the most growth. And who are the ones who have the best starting salary? Physicians, followed by chemical engineers. So I say, okay, can I do an analysis of this? You want to be on this quarter, right? On this side where your starting salary is high and your mid-career salary is high. So these are the points that I'm really curious about, right? Who are these people? You want to be there. Same thing. I wanted to do an analysis by the region they are in, by the school type, right? And then this is the analysis by region. So California, they have 3 dots right here. Okay, not surprised. And then there is one in Northeastern, right here, MIT. Princeton, great colleges. Now we know why. Same for same analysis, but by the stream, engineering, or is it liberal arts? Liberal arts right here in the middle. Engineering spread out evenly. But who are these? They are all engineers. Starting salary, great. Mid-career growth, amazing. So there's several ways of looking at the data, but if my question is, I want to zero down on the people who have seen the most growth, then probably a slope graph is my best friend. Now I want to take a look at how I'm doing with performance, and I know there is a place for improvement. So let's first do a quick recording of the performance as is. Start the performance recording. Sure. And now I want to interact with this dashboard. I want to say, show me chemical engineers on this. Click on this and see where they are. Probably reduce this to the top 20 and bring it back. Play around with it as any user would and see how my performance is doing. Once I've done a bunch of interactions with the data, I want to go back, settings, stop the performance recording, and Tableau will spit out a brand new workbook, which will give me the time it took computing layout. Rendering, this took 0.09 seconds. That's one of the longest. Now that I know that without having done any of the best practices, further improvements on the best practices, of course, it's aligned to some of the best practices, but there is room for improvement. This tabular view is a duplication of this information. I don't need it. Get rid of it. Good. Right. And now I really don't need to see all the 269 data points. I just need to see the top maybe 15, right? Same for this, top 15. This guy, rank, is a discrete. I don't want it to be discrete. Let me go here, kill this, go to sheet, make this rank a continuous, because we learned that continuous numbers are more efficient than discrete filters. Go back here and then analysis, I can see. Analysis, filters, rank. All right, this is the one. And I need to bring it here. And I want to see just the top 15 maybe, or 14, right? Now that I have much lesser marks, with all of them, I had how many marks? 150 marks. With 20, I would have 20 times 3, 30 marks, 60 marks, right? In this sheet. In the next one, I had 200 plus marks. I reduced it to 15. Growth by region, I had 300 plus marks. I reduced it to 15. Now, it's easier for me to consume as a user and more performant. Let's give it a shot. There is room for improvement. So let me go back here and then say hide all unused fields. Same thing for the other data source. Go back here, hide unused fields. And then, as I preached, let me have my own dog food, create an extract, save settings. Doesn't matter. Right click, extract, save settings. I don't think this is going to make much of a difference because it's already on my local, but it doesn't hurt. Now that I'm satisfied that I've done everything quickly, like my return on investment of time should be good. save this, and now go back to help. Performance, start performance recording. Let me interact with this, maybe make this 15. I know I don't want to go up, I want to go less. Sort it by starting pay, interact with it a little bit, hover over it to highlight the ones I'm interacting. I don't want to go up, I just want to go down. Top 10, further reduce the marks, top 10. Or maybe I just want to see the bottom 10, right? I can slide it over, just a 10, bottom 10, or somewhere in the middle, right? And I'm done with interacting with it. Help, role playing is done. Stop performance recording and see if I were to give a dashboard that is starving the users for information and has lesser data points, am I doing better? I'd be bummed if it is more. Oops, it is more. But the compute time is 0.4 seconds, 0.4 seconds, which I think is a win. So having done that, I will save it. I know for sure that this is a better performing dashboard, and I will now go ahead and publish it when I can. It's in the server. And pretty much that's the end of the demo.
Ojo, that was so great. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna say, when you slid the bottom 10 over, I have never seen anyone do that before. And I was like, wait, what? What did you just do? So forget all of the performance stuff you just showed, but just sliding that number over. I've never seen that happen before. So that was amazing. But it was really cool to see performance recording in action. I don't know, I don't remember if you asked this before, but show of hands in the chat, how many folks have actually done performance recording in the past? A whole bunch of nevers or nopes and thumbs downs, with a handful of in a class. So this is a really great introduction to what you can do there. It is performance recording. It's one of those, like, I'm gonna call it a tough nut to crack. Like, you have to do a lot of experimenting and just playing around with it to see, okay, I made this change. Did it work? Did it not work? Like, what is it, how much of an impact is it really doing? And what do all of these different types of actions really mean in the workbook itself? But it's great to be able to know, that there is a way to do that. You can actually get in there and see, and then sort of do some experimenting with your viz to make it perform just a little bit better. So thank you so much. And Ojo, your actual Tableau conference presentation was recorded, so we're going to include a link to that on the event page in a few minutes, so we can see the full scope. And I also wanted to shout out one other resource. I don't know if you mentioned it, but I know a few years ago the folks at Interworks and Tableau did a Designing Efficient Workbooks white paper. It is a very long white paper. I want to say it's like 80 pages. It is chock full of all of these like little things, like, oh, a case statement is better than an if else, all of these like little things that you probably don't think about ever unless it's pointed out to you. And that's also another great resource on Tableau performance. But yeah, thank you so much, Ojo. There are a couple of questions in the chat. I scrolled way too far to see what all of them are. I think there's one around using a viz as a filter compared to using quick filters. I think you had a slide there. Action filters are more performant than quick filters. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Yeah.
Yes, there is a bit which my current demo didn't cover, but I did in the conference, and I can share my screen if that's okay with you.
Yep.
So this is on Tableau Public. The part where I say that don't use filters, this is that part. So these are bands. And if I want to see, everything here is showing sales values. If I click on the profit piece, everything now is showing profit. If I click on quantity, it shows quantity. So I didn't need a quick filter drop down. I didn't need any, I just used parameter actions here to look at 3 different metrics by these 5 dimensions, right? And each of them are filters. So now if I want to look at profit by consumers, again, this is not a quick filter. I click on this consumer, and now my entire dashboard is just showing me consumers, shift mode, first class, right? And then in region East. So I just have 3 filters turned on, but I'm not using quick filters, right? And then
Yeah.
now, yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
And now I want to show the details. These are fewer marks, or close the details. None of this. Because I don't have the details, that tabular details, this is better performing than a dashboard that would have quick filters and a tabular view with 50,000 marks in it, right?
Right. And a big part of this is really just retraining your audience, retraining your consumers. Speaking of consumers, to look at dashboards in a different way, to make them actually, things that they interact with, rather than, just a glorified Excel file. Which is great. We love data visualizations. That's why we do what we do, is to get people to get to insight a little bit quicker. So thank you so much, Ojo. This was great. And I really, again, really appreciate you, coming up with a higher ed related data set to show this concept with. That was above and beyond. So thank you. And
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
yeah. Ojo's links and links for Jen and Marie are also in the chat, and we'll put them on the event page in just a second. But in the meantime, we wanna close up today's meeting. Ask us what we want you to tell us what you thought of today's meeting. Share in the chat. Sorry, not in the chat. We have a form that you can fill out to let us know what you thought. Give us feedback. If there's topics that you want to hear about, let us know about that. We do have the registration open for June's meeting, and the link is also in the chat there. We are still looking for a Meet a Community member or a tips and tricks presenter, either one. And just in general, we're always looking for someone to present. So if you want to present, if you want to nominate someone else to present, or if you just have a topic that you want to hear about, let us know, and we'll get in touch. There's also a few other Tableau related events that are happening over the next month or so. First, Tableau has started holding these inside track on Tableau sessions. They usually do 2, one that is sort of APAC and EMEA friendly, and then one that is EMEA, so Asia Pacific versus Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then one that's Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and America's relevant time zone wise. Same content. They're going to be talking about Tableau prep, which we heard a little bit about today. They're going to talk about custom themes and also Tableau semantics, which is part of sort of the Tableau AI type stuff. In June, the CCC TUG, the California Community Colleges TUG, is co-hosting. Actually, they're really the ones hosting a session with both HETUG and the Accessibility TUG called Let's Get Accessible. I'll be presenting a variation of my Tableau conference talk, and then Lisa Trescott, Tableau Visionary, Tableau Ambassador, Tableau Public Ambassador, and former Iron Viz contestant, winner, sorry, not even contestant, winner. She's going to show a before and after of a dashboard. And then don't forget about Analytics Day. Registration is open for almost another month, but the date, it's the conference, or the all day conference basically, is on June 26th, and Ginny and company are still looking for speakers. If you go to the link in the chat, you'll be able to not only register but also put in a proposal for a 20-minute slot. So with that, we want to thank you all for coming. We really enjoy hosting these higher education Tableau user group sessions, and we're really thankful to all of our presenters. So Marie Vrablic, Jen Snyder, and Ojo Basu. We really appreciate you guys coming, and to everyone who attended. Thank you. Also, I also want to make a very big note on the CCC TUG, HETUG, Accessibility TUG, super co-hosted session. 80s attire will be very well received. So if you've got your headbands, your crimped hair, your off-the-shoulder shirts, your leg warmers, all of that magical stuff, please wear it because we're going to get accessible there. All right. So with that, thank you again. And we hope to see you again in June.